Hello, and welcome to A Mile in My Shoes. I'm Faison Maxwell, and I have a graduate degree from the foster care system. I earned it the old-fashioned way. I lived it. I'm here to help those walking in the shoes I once filled. In the past few years, I've had opportunities to meet and work with hundreds of people involved in the foster care system. That includes young people who have been in the system, case managers, foster and adoptive parents, counselors, and teachers. Based on my experience, I believe that foster parents and case managers who work with teens and young adults in the foster care system have some of the hardest jobs in America. The reason I got involved with making this video is to share something that can help these adults do a better job. A tool that can help them understand what young people are going through. It's called the Transitions Framework. The Transitions Framework is a tool that is now being used in over 100 nonprofit organizations and government agencies across the country. The Transitions Framework has been used in business for many years. It came into foster care thanks to the Andrus Family Fund, a foundation in New York City. The Andrus Family Fund dedicated a considerable amount of time to the problem of what happens when young people who've been in the child welfare system make the transition from being in care to being adults. The Andrus Family Fund understood that these young people were going through multiple changes, and so they asked William Bridges, a best-selling author and consultant to Fortune 500 companies, if they could adapt his transitions framework to the challenges faced by these young people. For the last 13 years, this experiment has gone on. Over 150 organizations in the United States have adapted the transitions framework to the issues of young people in care. That's how I learned about it. While in high school, I got involved with one of these programs where I actually participated in training for youth and adults on change and transitions for foster youth. That was 4 years ago, and I'm now in college. Looking back, I can see how the transitions framework has helped me. But hey, you don't have to take my word for it. The nonprofit organizations that have used the transitions framework report that it helps young people, helps the adults working with young people, and improves the relationships between young people and the adults. A recent academic study also found that young people that have been exposed to the transitions framework were more able and effective when it came to coping with change. To help me explain the transitions framework and how it can help you do a better job, I want you to meet Roger Connor. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Faison. Good to be here.
Roger Connor is a law professor and a consultant on transitions. He has also been a foster parent and is now an adoptive parent. Recently, Roger had some conversations with young people in a program for former foster youth in Nashville, Tennessee. We're going to watch some video from those conversations in a few minutes. But first, we want to give you a very brief overview of the transitions framework.
So, what William Bridges starts with is the idea that we use the word transitions a lot for many different applications. He uses it in a specialized way. He uses transitions for the emotional, psychological process of adjusting to a change. In Bridges' thinking, change is like you fly to Beijing. Transition is getting over the jet lag. The change is like reorganizing a company. The transition is the emotional and psychological adjustment process everyone in the company has to go through before they get comfortable with the new situation. So in the Bridges terminology, transitions is different than change. Transitions is the process. Now, he also divides it up. I think it'd be a good idea, Faison, before we go to the video, to just explain briefly what the three phases of that he says we go through during the transition process.
Thank you very much. And you are correct. William Bridges does say that change is different from transition. While change is an event or an occurrence that happens at one point in time, transition, as you said, is the inner emotional or psychological adjustment in response to that change. And he separates transition into three distinct phases. Those are the endings phase, in which we must let go of the old way of doing things. We also have to we have to let go of what we've become accustomed to, and we can see how that can be pretty difficult for people going through transitions. William Bridges says that the second phase of transitions is the neutral zone. In the neutral zone, we are filled with uncertainty, anxiety, confusion. We find ourselves making 2 steps forward and then 4 steps backward. We don't know whether to go left, right, up, or down. It's a very confusing state. However, it's important to note that this phase also makes for growth, because struggle does breed growth, right? Third and final, the last phase is the new beginnings phase, in which we have successfully accepted this new change, the new way of doing things.
Now, Faison, I had a conversation, as you mentioned, with some young people in a program here in Nashville called New Transitions. These are young people who have also had direct experience in foster care. And so I asked them whether the Bridges Transitions framework made sense as applied to one of the most common changes that young people face, and that is breaking up with somebody when they're in relationship. So let's put the transitions framework to the test and see whether a couple of teenagers say it makes sense with one of the biggest changes that they've had to deal with in their lives. Let's take a look. So welcome to the Transitions 101, and thank you for agreeing to be with us. So let's try Bridges out on one of the most common experiences that young people face, and that is the breakup. Let's talk about what happens when he or she either walks out or says something and there's no going back. It's over. What are the feelings that start coming up for young people when that happens?
Resentment.
Anger,
Confusion.
Yeah.
frustration, sad.
Abandonment.
Yeah.
So
That stuff.
now here's what Bridges says. Bridges says those emotions are associated with endings, and that when we have a change occur, that we are going to go through endings, and those emotions are going to surface regardless of what the change is. To some degree, we're going to experience those emotions. Now, there's another time in the breakup story when you're sitting there and you want to go back, but you can't go back. You don't feel like you can go forward. You're sort of stuck, and you're wondering, am I ever going to have another relationship? And what are some of the feelings that come up in that situation?
Anxiety. Wanting to go back, but knowing you need to go forward. Loneliness, confusion, a lot of confusion.
Pretty much.
Inside and out.
And Bridges says the neutral zone is a mixture, because he says it's because something familiar is taken away, there's the opportunity for growth and creativity. But there's also a desire to go back the way things work. Does that ring true?
Completely.
Yeah. Now, so then let's roll the movie forward. Now imagine the time when the first time that you met someone new, and you came back and you call your friend and you're talking about the new person, and you don't even bring up the old person. What are the feelings that are going on at that time?
Happiness.
Yeah?
I mean, it's like, you know, you look back and you're like,
That
you're not thinking about it, basically.
it's
like,
nowhere on the radar.
It is
Nowhere on the radar.
basically.
There you go.
Why think about the old when you have something new
You
in
have
front of you?
something new, right?
All right. So what do you think, Faison?
You know, I understand it, Roger, but it's a little too analytical for me. You know, a place that I like to go that's deeper than words is music. Why don't you explain to the viewers this next segment?
What I did in this next segment was I asked Thomas and Raisa, I said, if the transitions framework makes sense, then we should hear it in the music the young people listen to. So I asked them, do they listen to music where they hear the themes of endings and the neutral zone and the new beginning? Let's listen to what they had to say. What did you come up with, Raisa, in a song that talks about endings?
The ending, I had a song called I Will Survive. I forgot the name of it. I mean, the lady's name or whatever, but I mean, it's a pretty popular song. But she was saying that at first I was afraid, I was petrified, kept thinking I could never live without you by my side. It took all the strength I had not to fall apart, just trying hard to mend the pieces of my broken heart. That's an, part of an ending phase.
That's what the endings feels like, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah. And so then, how about the neutral zone? What did you find a song or some lyrics that sort of captured what that neutral zone feels like?
Yeah, I did. This song is called "Scared of Lonely" by Beyonce.
Oh.
I try to be patient, but I'm hurting deep inside. And I can't keep waiting. I need comfort late at night. Cause I'm lost in this dream. I need you to hold me. I'm scared of lonely. So it's like she's basically confused. She doesn't know where to go. She needs this person or whoever, whatever she needs, and she's just really scared right now. So.
Wow. Now Bridges would say that is classic neutral zone. She's nailed it.
Yeah.
Nice. And so how about the new beginning?
The new beginning, I have two songs.
Good. Go for it.
It's a song by Sarah Evans. It's called Stronger. And she put, I know my heart will never be the same, but I'm telling myself I'll be okay. And even on my weakest days, I get a little bit stronger.
That's nice because that shows you that movement into the new beginning, back into the neutral zone and ending, and it's a little more in the new beginning every day. Very nice, very nice. That's it. What's the other one?
The other song is by Destiny's Child, Survivor. They pointed out after all the darkness and sadness still comes happiness. If I surround myself with positive things, I'll gain prosperity.
Wow.
I thought that was
Yeah, that's got it. Now then, but you found one that you found that really talked about the whole transition process in one song. Read us from that one.
The neutral zone, she was just saying, just trying hard to mend the pieces of my broken heart, and then the new beginnings. I'm not that stupid little person who's still in love with you, and so you felt like dropping in and just expect me to be free. Now I'm saving all my loving for someone who's loving me. It's a new beginning. And
so read that whole read the whole thing from top, that one section there from top to bottom.
Which right here.
Yeah, there you go.
It took all the strength I had not to fall apart, just trying hard to mend the pieces of my broken heart. And I spent so many nights just feeling sorry for myself. I used to cry, but now I hold my head up high. And you see me, somebody new. I'm not that stupid little person who's still in love with you. And so you felt like dropping in and just expecting me to be free. And now I'm saving all my loving for someone who's loving me.
Wow.
So that just basically told it all.
That's the whole transition in one verse of a song.
Yeah.
Roger, that speaks to me. That speaks to me a lot. Not only because of what Thomas and Raisa said, but because I also have songs that relate to transition. Would you like to know what my songs are?
Oh, come on.
A song that really speaks to me, that speaks to the endings phase of transition, for me, is Yesterday by Boyz II Men. It's an R&B group. And the chorus basically goes, it's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday. And to me, that just explicitly just speaks to what the endings phase, what William Bridges tells us the endings phase is all about. It's difficult for us to have to let go of the way things used to be, let go of what we've become accustomed to.
And it's odd because people think if the thing we're moving away from is bad, such as an abusive family, we still are losing things that were familiar to us. And so there's still the sadness that's in that piece.
That is so true. That is so true. I actually, I just had a conversation with a friend of mine not too long ago talking about that. Speaking about how people stay in abusive relationships, although they know that they should move on. They understand that it's a struggle where they are and that they may actually be better off out of that situation. However, it's pretty difficult to move out of that situation knowing that you're going to move into unfamiliar territory, knowing that you may be moving out of your comfort zone. And sometimes it's not even your comfort zone. Sometimes it's very uncomfortable. However, it's still familiar to you.
Yeah.
And it brings upon uncertainty if you were to move out of that.
So do you have a song for the neutral zone?
I do. My Neutral Zone song is also my New Beginning song. And this song speaks to me in volumes, basically. It's by Tupac, a rapper, and it's called Dear Mama. And what he is basically doing in this song is speaking to his mother. And he outlines a lot of what went on in his life with his mother and with his younger sister. And part of the reason why it speaks to me is because I also have a younger sister and I have a mother, and a lot of the things that he says I can relate to directly. But in terms of relating to the second and third phases, the neutral zone phase and the new beginnings phase of transitions, it speaks to the uncertainty and the confusion and the anxiety as he outlines the different struggles that he went through. Say, for instance, how his mom had to come home after working late and to fix a a hot plate for him and his sister in order to be able to eat, and how he was just following, being a product of his environment and following the big guys in the neighborhood who were involved in things that he probably should not have been involved in. However, he was just a product of his environment. He didn't know, he couldn't understand why he was in that situation. And what he did was he blamed his mother. He found himself blaming his mother, shifting the blame from himself and blaming external causes, when in reality it was him. I mean, that just speaks to the neutral zone phase to me. It was a lot going on. It was a big struggle for him and his younger sister. And I can relate, as I said, directly to that because I actually struggled with my mother. And I actually, along with my sister, we actually blamed my mother for a lot of the things that happened in our lives. And we realize now that that's not the case. And that realization, that eventual realization, speaks to the last phase of transition, the new beginnings, understanding, getting to this new area of understanding and this knowledge that it was not my mother's fault for the struggle that we had to face.
Wow.
So, do you have any songs that speak to William Bridges' three phases of transition, Elijah?
The endings phase for me, it's easiest. The Beatles song Yesterday, right?
Okay.
Which is yesterday. All my troubles seem so far away now. It seems as if they're here to stay.
Okay.
Well, I believe in yesterday, and you just listen to the music to that one, and it's the sadness, the anger, the resentment, the bitterness over the loss just pouring out. Mm-hmm. Now, my neutral zone song is also a Beatles song, which is Help. Okay. Help. I need somebody help. I can't find a port in a storm. I don't know where to turn. Okay. That's what the neutral zone feels like to me. Now, the New Beginning, you know my age, so New Beginning's a Beatles song too. It's like, here comes the sun. Here comes the sun. Do-do-do-do-do. Here comes the sun. I say it's all right. Here comes the sun.
I like that.
And that's what the New Beginning feels like to me.
That's true. And so we see that William Bridges' transitions framework is not limited by age. Young people go through transitions. Older people go through transitions. As a matter of fact, we all experience change in subsequent transitions.
That's really the insight of William Bridges for all of us. And that is, anytime we go through a change, we're also going to have to go through transition. Oh, I noticed the timekeeper is giving us away there, Faison. So we're approaching the end of part one of our video here. Why don't we do just a quick summary of the main points that we've covered? Okay. So start us off.
Okay. So the first point that we should take home is that foster care youth go through many major changes.
The second point is with each of these changes, there comes a psychological process of adjustment that involves an ending, a neutral zone, and a new beginning. And it's not linear. People go back and forth through that process of adjustment.
And the third point is transition's 3 phases. The endings phase, as we've said, is a phase where we must let go of the way things used to be. The neutral zone phase is a phase filled with uncertainty, anxiety, and confusion. And the new beginnings phase is when we've successfully accepted the change that has occurred. This now concludes part 1 of A Mile in My Shoes. Please join us for part 2.